About a minute and 40 till we get started.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Zoom live on Facebook so we can say hi and start going live on Facebook. And let's see. So I will pay attention to it on my phone. And let's see here. And let me go back to, just want to make sure it's working, but I'm going to be watching you guys on Zoom, but it'll be live on Facebook. So I'll have you guys put comments out there. You can put your contact information out there. I just have to find the video here. It's live. So how are you both today while I'm working on getting this together?
Amazing. I'm posting on my Facebook too, so people can start joining.
Perfect. So Laura, meet Vicky. Vicky, meet Laura.
Yes, Vicky, I'm excited to hear your story. It sounds amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to have an amazing time. I can't wait till we get started. Let's move mountains. Let's go.
All right. I love it.
Got my muscles on today.
Oh, goody.
Great. So Vicky does real estate, and I don't know, Laura, if you knew that. And Vicky, Laura has some investment properties as well. And the location that she lives in, she runs as a Airbnb.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
You're both in real estate, so that's great.
Yes, yes. I've got 3 Airbnbs now. So that's a nice thing. A lot of work, but it's worth it.
I didn't realize you had 3. That's amazing.
Well, I'm counting the Sedona as 2, because it's 2 separate units for me to work, and 1 in New Jersey.
Got it. That makes sense.
That's really good.
Yeah. And
all right, 20 seconds.
Go ahead. Okay, thanks. So what we'll do is I'm just going to open the show. I'll get ready. We're going to take 2 different breaks. So as we're counting down in the chat and as he's telling me we're going to break, I'll be paying attention. And so I'll let you guys know when we have to go to break, especially if I'm talking to one of you. I'll probably interview Laura, then we'll go to Vicky. So I'm just going to talk a little bit in the beginning, and then we'll roll into the interview. So I just wanted to let you know how it'll go. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. And this is a very relaxing conversation, nothing you need to be prepared for specifically.
Colleen Biggs, are you ready to lead without permission and take the steps needed to live your best life? Whether you want to start the business of your dreams or celebrate your present and future accomplishments, you're definitely in the right place. Now, here is your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, as usual, and I just want to welcome you to our show. How has your week been? I mean, we are in 15 days into the new year, and I'm curious as to how your New Year's resolutions are going. I, on the other hand, do not have New Year's resolutions because I feel that every day is a do-over. Today's Wednesday and it's Wellness Wednesday. And so I look at it as, instead of setting these enormous goals just because it's the beginning of the year, we all have business plans we put together for our businesses. We all have goals that we're working on. I say we can go ahead and jump on, and we can have these goals for ourselves, and we can work toward these goals and necessarily maybe not have a time limit on them if we don't need them. So I would love to keep that fluid and lucid for those that are on the phone. And if you have a resolution that you're working on or a goal that you want to share, you can always reach us at info@leadupforwomen.com. And I would love to hear from you. And today we have some amazing guests. We have Laura Marcos, who is an intuitive educator. And then we also have Vicky Schettini. And I love her tag. She's helping 1 million people reach financial freedom because she found herself in a really tough place at one point, which I can relate with you, Vicky. And so I want to welcome both of them. If you guys would both say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
So we have, so we're live on Facebook. So anyone who's listening through the podcast or listening through Voice America, please feel free to jump on live on Facebook. If you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, we will also post additional information here on how you can reach Laura and how you can reach Vicky after the show. And today we're going to be talking about how failure is not an option. Both of these ladies have had some trials, and both of them have been on their journey to wealth. And both of them are also joining me on March 20th and the 21st in LA at the Best You Expo. So you will notice over the next couple of months, we're going to be having some amazing ladies with great stories on the radio to talk with us a little bit about their journey and talk with us about them presenting at the Best You Expo so we can get everybody excited about going. I had Bernardo Moya was interviewed last week. He's the founder of the Best You Expo, and we talked with him a little bit about why he had created it. And he's really intently about purposeful connections and people just having the forums to celebrate, to educate, to learn, to come together as community. He makes it extremely affordable right now. You can get free tickets and through our newsletter. All you have to do is go online and click on our newsletter. You can get free tickets through me for the event. And you can also become a speaker and an exhibitor if you're interested. So we're all three of us are going to be there, speakers and exhibitors. So I want to jump in quickly and start with Laura because Laura, you were first on my list. There really isn't a reason why I'm starting with you.
Well, I'm really excited about your theme that failure is not an option. I'm getting a flashback to when I had just announced to some of my peers that I'd be leaving the school system. And one of the teachers turned to me and she goes, well, you know, if you fail, you could always come back. And I remember the language just being so strange. I was like, fail? What? There's no failing.
Yeah.
It's just an adventure. There's absolutely no failing. So glad that you picked this theme because I'm right on board. We're all on an adventure. We're all in this together. We're all here to shine a light and help each other go home to ourselves, you know, because we really, what do we really want most? It's a feeling.
Yeah.
And
we're on our own individual journeys. I love that you said that we're on a path and we're all on our individual journeys. And so, you know, that's what Lead Up for Women stands for, is we're all on an individual journey, and community is where we're able to help lift each other and not compete with each other. You know, here it's about lifting each other and supporting each other because we are all doing exactly what our assignment is and why we're here and what our purpose is. So why not help each other out? You know, give a sister some love. That's the way I think about it.
Love it. I love it.
You know, I remember when I left corporate, I just have to share this real quick before we get into your journey. And they literally said to me, I remember one of the gentlemen saying to me, well, you know, you always have a home here if you want to come back. And I was like, I don't think I want to come back. Not that I didn't enjoy my 17 years here. It's that I'm moving on to take my path and my journey now, and I'm done here and I'm moving on, you know, and going down a different path. And so as much as I appreciate that, I don't think I need that. And so very exciting to have you share your journey. So talk to us a little bit about how your journey started, because you came from New Jersey, where I'm from. And so we're from the East Coast. Hoorah. So tell me a little bit about your journey, Laura, and how you became an intuitive healer.
Well, I am an inner city kid. I grew up outside New York City, and my parents were immigrants, and they said, you got to work really hard and you got to prove yourself. So I learned to define myself by my accomplishments, like so many, you know, so straight A's, honor roll certificates, full scholarship to college, excel, landed my first corporate job, and I was miserable. You know, a deep sense of betrayal set in that I got all these A's for something I just didn't understand, you know, 401k and a 2-week vacation working for someone I really didn't believe in. So just kind of very much connected to my own existential depression. I said, my life needs to have meaning. So my mom gave me some good advice, and she said, well, why don't you become a school counselor? And I had resisted taking her advice for me to become an educator since I was a little girl. but I was finally ready to hear mom. Went back to school, got my master's in counseling, studied addiction. And ever since then, I'd really been studying the healing process, right? So I went on to go for 12 years working with at-risk teens and their families. I couldn't do enough for those kids. So I was very quickly running self-esteem groups after school, teaching an experiential leadership class every day, doing polls, prompts, fundraisers, and all of that. And the system, had a way of impacting me to go in my shell. So after a while, I stopped taking on so much, not because of the kids, but because of a response to the system. So I put myself kind of in a bubble, so that I really every day just focused on the kids. I made a beautiful blue office with postcards from all over the world and art to inspire kids to have conversations with me. And one day, literally I was just designing. I was always creating content too, by the way. I started writing content when I was 26. I wrote curriculum for at-risk kids, tons of things that I did, honestly. And I wanted to do a meditation program for the school. And when we saw the meditation program as an interruption to test taking preparation, when I went back in my office and I sat down, it was like my heart broke open. And I just felt like so at peace. And it was like this waterfall came over me. And I said, oh, I'm leaving my job. It never had occurred to me in my life, that I was going to leave, because I was so much the avatar of a school counselor. I just loved, doing what I did. I never thought I'd be there my whole life. And I just learned that a lot of the things and the practices that I was doing with the kids was naturally helping my intuitive development. And also, what is it, and how do you help people tap into their own? So I imagine I worked with thousands, thinking to myself, okay, how can I walk with them? How can I help them make their own decisions? So it was kind of a organic process. And then I really just started to get into flow states and start writing a lot of content. So I did a really ballsy, unexpected move. I left my paycheck. I left my pension. I kind of, my parents were shocked. I mean, I think a lot of people were like, what is happening here? But it was really kind of liberating. And then I kind of, I just started working in the schools. I, have been a really working a lot with some inner city schools in New Jersey, like Hoboken and Jersey City. But then what happened is it was so big for me to leave my job. I Googled, how do you get into the Grand Canyon? And because it was epic for me. I'd never gone. And I read Sedona or Vegas. And I said, well, Vegas is out. I've been there, whatever this other place is. I book a flight, an Airbnb, I get a car rental. And for whatever reason, I didn't do any research, which was, unusual even for me, the level of spontaneity that I embraced to just come to be in a flow state. So I made no plans, did no research, never even saw a picture of Sedona until I pulled up on 179 and got out of the car and said, oh my goodness. And it was as if, Moses came out of the sky. I tell people all the time, I was 39 years old and I felt the 40 coming on. And I was like, I'm going to be 40 and Moses is going to be with me. And this is amazing. And I decided that day to move to Sedona, and it was, just really such a big intuitive hit. So I just been practicing a lot of techniques, and the more I study and the more I read, because I've also studied a lot of different healing modalities, but the more I study, like I'm doing things that are thousands of years old. I'm doing practices that, have been passed on by mystics in all religions. So why not put that into an experience? Because I know kids don't remember anything that they learn from a lecture. You have to give them an experience. So I've really been deeply motivated, as you know, from meeting me a few times, that I want to create an experience. So I want to keep getting better and better. I still have that little girl achiever in me that's always looking to grow. So at this point, I think I have about 19 workshops, a 3-day retreat that I recently curated, and looking to take my work online this year, so that I could reach more people in different parts of the country, because I've been working in the school systems.
Mm-hmm. That's really
I just had a meeting.
No, Laura.
Yeah. Oh,
it's very inspirational. And so I would ask you, because I get this question a lot, and we have this conversation on the radio many, many, many times over, which is women that talk to us about how they left what they were doing to pursue what it is that they their heart was pulling toward them. And sometimes it was undeniable, like when you were sitting there and you just felt that wash, and then you thought, okay, I'm quitting my job. I didn't think I'd ever quit my job. I'm quitting my job. So I would ask the question to you, which is the question I get all the time: how do you know? And then it's the fear that sets in. So can you remember any emotional feelings during the time when you felt the waterfall, and then the fear sets in, like, and then how am I going? This is the biggest thing everyone asks. How am I going to survive and make money to be able to do what it is that I want to do?
Well, that's a fantastic question. And for me, it was so loud and clear that I was at peace. It was, I talk about this in intuition. You can't control it.
Yeah.
You can't, you don't seek it. It comes through you. And the feeling of peace was so loud and so clear that I was like, oh, there was nothing to think about. I actually had no deliberation. And the same thing with Sedona, more or less. I mean, I had a little bit more fear set in after making the initial decision of saying, hey, I'm going to move to a place where I know no people, or I'm from a city kid from outside New York. I'm going to move to the mountains and the desert. It's just, but it made so much sense that it felt like, it was really like there was complete alignment, because I honestly I just jumped.
Yeah. And that's a real, I love that you say, it's complete alignment, because that was how I felt, very peaceful. Like I have been a crazy budgeter my entire life. I have the money all figured out all the time, and certainty is the number one, communication need for me. And it's almost like it wasn't a thought. I didn't think about it. I was at peace with what I was doing and knew that everything would just be taken care of and I would be okay. And I have miracles and miracles and stories after stories of how that's happened. And you do too. And so I think the message we can send today, just in that small piece of information of how your journey has gone, is that when you know, and take the step, don't do it, do it out of peaceful knowing that you're stepping into your assignment, or you're stepping into what it is that you're built and meant to do, and leave your mark on this earth. And you touch so many people, women and men. I have attended one of your events, so maybe you could tell our audience a little bit about your events. How often are you doing them in a year? Where are they being held? What could somebody expect?
So I just curated my first Activate Your Sixth Sense retreat in Sedona, and it was a 3-day experience. I have 8 modules, but I think the next one I'm going to go deeper with the first 5, and then curate a whole other experience for the last 3 modules. But it's a journey to the intuitive self. So what I really do is I try to engage in the vocabulary, help people understand and create their own definitions if they like. I'm going to make offerings, right? What's the vocabulary of intuition? What are these teachings that you want to kind of have a grasp of, so that we're going to seed through an experience and creating a group flow state right here in my beautiful home in Sedona. I got Thunder Mountain right outside. I live on a quiet street here that I have 5 bedrooms. So there'll be a couple that I'll be able to offer to some of the guests that come. But really what they can expect is to have an opportunity to go deeper in themselves than maybe they have just yet, and to feel safe, to feel supported, to feel stimulated, and really leave with tools that I hope, as is my intention, I've used this language with you before, but it is really my intention to help create teachings and insights that you're going to remember more than your entire college education. That is what I'm kind of going for here, people, because, I'm a poster child of academia. I'm a summa cum laude, and I really felt I was missing what was the most important thing. I was not happy. I was actually depressed. I was actually suffering from all sorts of existential anxiety. So I'm going to be doing my retreats once or twice a year. At this point, I'm maybe thinking just once a year. The next one's going to be May 16, 17, and 18. And if the audience wants to text alchemy to 64600, they can actually get my easy card, my digital business card, which has links to testimonials. Though on my website, you can see all the courses that I offer in schools. I'm going to be launching online, so people want to stay connected to me, you know, find me on Instagram or Facebook at Activate Your Inner Alchemist. And I think that that'll help them just get a sense of me, the work that I've been doing. And if they'd like to follow along, because I'm sure I'm going to have all sorts of offerings coming in 2020.
Okay, thank you, Laura. So you guys are listening to Laura Marcos, and she said you want to text alchemy, which is ALCHAMY. Did I spell that right?
Alchemy is ALCHEMY.
EMY. Oh my goodness. No spell check on the writing today. ALCHEMY. You want to text that to 64600. And then Laura, you will, instead of in our Zoom group chat, if afterwards you'll go out on Facebook and go to or on break and you want to go out and put that in the comment section on the live video that's running, or afterwards when the video is up there,
Sure.
and then share as much information as you like about that. I can attest to all of what she is saying. It's for everybody. So if you're not sure if it's for you, you need to go. I think that's the person that really needs to go, because it becomes like a little bit of a wake-up call of understanding that you don't have to push and pull with the universe so much. You sometimes you just have to slow down and stop and listen, and listening to that intuition. How many times have we said, oh, I should have, right? I knew I should have just listened to my gut on that one. We have all said that 5, 6, 7,000 times. So here's an opportunity for you to go to learn how to really deepen that sense and listen, so that you can make the right decisions and not have to keep course correcting or decide that wasn't the right decision in the first place. And so what Laura's doing is phenomenal. We're going to go to a quick break, but in 2 minutes when we come back, we're going to continue talking to Laura and about what she has coming up this year and what she's most excited for and where she's going to be at the Best You Expo and when. All right, Laura, we'll be right back with you. 2 minutes, you guys. Hold on there.
All right, perfect. All clear.
All right, awesome. So we have a lot of people on Facebook. If you guys want to say hi, I had muted you, so let me unmute you, Vicky. Sorry about that. I muted you because I was hearing a lot of feedback on your side. And so I just unmuted you, Vicky, so everyone can hear you now. So
no, we're good. We're good. But
perfect.
You're hearing noise?
Not anymore. I just
Oh, okay, good.
your mic.
Yeah, it's either the wire from the headset or like a squeaky chair or something.
Yeah.
It sounds like that.
It sounds like it's
the
from
wire.
The headset. Yeah.
It's a headset.
And so when I mute you, then we can't hear it. And then it won't be a problem when you start talking again, we'll be good. But we've got Nicole online. We have Renee online. We have Jenny. We have Coach Donnie. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to say hi. So many people are out there saying wonderful things about all of you and loving you. So feel free to jump out there and put your information in or ask any questions that you would like. This is we're on break from the radio, so the podcast won't hear any of this. That's why I always recommend, I like to go live on Facebook because it becomes a whole different audience that we have on Facebook that we reach of women and men that listen into our radio show. Yeah.
Is the best way to share, Colleen, like going to your page and then sharing from there? How do I?
You want to go into Lead Up for Women, the actual Facebook page, Lead Up for Women, and then you want to go to the live video, and then you can put it in the comments section. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to Lead Up for Women.
It'll be perfect. Yeah.
And then I share it on my page.
You can share it to your page, yes, but you want to go in and put comments into the actual video, into the comments section, so that everyone can just click on your links and get to you very easily. I went in and I added a couple of them because you had added them into the Zoom group chat, but they can't see that, so I went ahead and added a couple things out there for you.
Awesome. Let me see what I can see here. Okay.
Okay.
So you put my name and email? Should I put that?
Yeah, I did. I already put your name and email. So maybe where they can go to reach you online, or where they can, oh no, I didn't put your name and email. I put your website.
Okay. My email is.
Yeah, but go ahead and put your information out there, whatever you'd like to share. So Vicky, if you're ever thinking about coming to Arizona, Laura's retreat is amazing. You literally spend so much time on the Red Rock. Have you been to Sedona, Vicky?
I have not. I have
Oh
not.
my gosh. That would be a good trip if you wanted to go, because you could go a little early and then you could stay a couple days and then enjoy the sights. But she takes you to some amazing places where you have the opportunity to feel the energy. What do they say about Sedona? They say it's like it's
Vortex capital.
vortex capital. Yeah.
And if
All
you
right, we're
don't know what
just
that
about to come back.
means, it's a
Okay.
lot of juicy energy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You really
That sounds
feel it.
amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, you really feel it from the rocks. You feel the energy. You feeling it
You're
through
listening to
you.
Lead Up for Women.
It's
Speak
really
up to
great.
lead up.
It's really
To
great.
reach the
I
show
highly
today,
recommend it.
please call 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to info@leadupforwomen.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Hi there. Welcome back. You are still listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up, and I am your host, Colleen Biggs. We're so glad you're back and joining us, because we have been talking with Laura Marcos, and we're getting ready to start our interview with Vicky Schettini. But I wanted to finish up with Laura and have her talk a little bit with us about, if any of you missed the first part, she was talking about her Activate Your Sixth Sense retreats that she does in Sedona, which is where she lives now. She's putting all of her information online, but if you want to know more information, you can text Alchemy, which is ALCHEMY, to 64600. That's Alchemy to 64600. And then you'll be in the loop with her. You'll be able to get her digital business card, and then you'll be able to learn more about her retreats and connect with her and find out where she's going to be, which is what I'm going to ask her now. So you're having workshops all over. So please, please, please share with us, where are you going to be this year, and how can people find you?
My goodness, Colleen, I also want to just say thank you right here again for giving me this opportunity to share. It's so nice. You're doing such a great job as a host of this phenomenal podcast, and I'm an honored to be a part. But I do workshops in schools. So if somebody, obviously a lot of parents going to be listening to this. I live in Sedona, Arizona, but anywhere within a 2-hour driving range would be very reasonable. So if there's any parents listening to this that would like to further look into my work and have me come, I do parent workshops and teen workshops. So I have anti-bullying work that I do that's phenomenal. Again, always very interactive and experiential. But where I'm really looking to go is to launch online. So I want to because I have a series of 8 courses for parents and a series for teens, but I'm going to start with the parents online. So that's going to be one of my goals, hopefully towards the end of February, because I'll also be traveling this in a week, in a little over a week. I'll be flying back to New Jersey for a little while, because I'll be doing workshops for Jersey City and Hoboken again. I go there every year, and it's always an honor to be in the inner cities where I'm from.
Okay, great, parents. Did you hear that? So if your children are in school, or like me, I have a school that's right here in my community, and I'm connected with them and the leaders in my community. So I'm very happy to share that Laura is a resource for them, and that she can come and teach. They're always looking, schools are always looking for teachers that can come and teach on anti-bullying and just helping the children. And I got to meet one of her previous students. She actually was at the last retreat that Laura had that I participated in. And one of her students that she had taught many, many, many years ago was there. And she was just so in awe with what Laura was teaching, and saying how much that everybody needs what Laura teaches, and especially students that are young children, and in the schools, teenagers, as well as young ladies, young women, really need that practice. So thank you for sharing your information today, Laura. It's such a pleasure having you. So please stay on with us so you can still be in the conversation with us as we welcome our next guest. Oh, one thing I forgot to ask you, Laura, is do you know which day you're speaking at the Best You Expo?
Oh my goodness, yes. I am speaking on the Saturday, which is March 21st at noon, in Passion for Profit. So if we want to learn how to tap into our intuition to make money or job related decisions, I'll be doing a special exercise for that.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I will also share that I'm speaking on the 21st. They moved me twice, so I hope I get this right. I think I'm speaking at 3:30 in the Women Empowerment Room.
Nice.
So I'm very excited to be in that room and have some conversations with some ladies and talk about how we can show up in the world authentically as us. That's the most important thing, in shedding those layers and just being us from the gut, right? So that's who you are, Laura. Vicky, you are too. And Vicky went from, Vicky, I'm going to botch this up. So just, hang in there with me. But Vicky, what I read about Vicky, and she was introduced to me because she is a Best You Expo speaker. And I've been blessed to meet so many strong women and hear their stories of what they're going through and them speaking. And so I was able to meet Vicky over the phone, and we had a short conversation. But what I love is her grit and her drive, because Vicky went from having a regular life. I like to say I relate to her because I also went through kind of that empty nester stage when my children grew up and grew and moved out. I was like, well, I'm a mom. So now what am I? Yeah, I had a very successful career in corporate America, but still my identity seemed like I was a mom, and I felt lost, like I didn't have anything else left. So of course she decided to build her wealth, moving closer to her daughter, her only daughter, so she could be with her, and wound up homeless. This is where the point where I want you to explain the situation of what happened in your life, that you went from, I would say, a regular normal life, which is probably 90% of America, where you're on the wheel, maybe you're getting a salary, you're in corporate America, you have a job, right? And you decide you want to do something different. How do you go from that to moving to homeless to now being a real estate mogul? How does that happen, Vicky?
I think I was just tired. I mean, the empty nest syndrome, it was really, really difficult. And honestly, up until it happened to me, I never really believed in the empty nest syndrome. I just thought it was just something out there and you just kind of would get depressed.
Mm-hmm.
But it was horrible. It was,
Horrible.
I mean, breathtaking, like, and not in a good way. Like somebody just punched me in the gut and just took all the breath away. So, um, I I felt like I needed a change. I was like, I couldn't cope. That was
Yeah.
it. And I needed a complete different change. And I needed something else like to focus on, because my whole life, you know, she was my focus. She was my focus. And I've done so many things in life, and I've done well. And then at that point, financially I was not doing well. And when she left, it was just like that hollow feeling. I can't even explain it, but it was just horrible. And I remember thinking to myself, you know why you get this is because all the other time when people kept saying about their empty nest,
Mhm.
I didn't think it was really a big deal. Why? Because my daughter was right there. But when it happened to me, it was beyond. Um, I just couldn't function.
Yeah.
So I had to do something.
Yeah, I think I remember feeling like my heart was breaking for real, like
Yes.
in half. Isn't that awful to say that, because they're not dead. They're still alive, but I actually have to tell you that, because I think you talked about, did you move to Virginia, or you talked, I don't know, I don't remember if it was Virginia, but I actually moved a daughter to Virginia, left her there and came back. And I remember feeling on the plane like I had just left a part of me, like a part of me was ripped out of my body. And I didn't know how to explain that to anybody. But I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And it's not like she was gone. She's still in America. She's just several, states away. But when that's all you've really leaned into and known and perfected and become all those years, it's almost like when you're in corporate America, if you have this amazing career and you've perfected and become that, then you identify yourself with who that is. Your worth is what you do for a living and how much you make for a living. And
Yep.
that's hard for people to separate themselves from. So let's talk a little bit about how you went through that struggle. How did you become homeless and then pull yourself out of that? And a lot of women listening can relate to you right now.
Well, and that was like the whole thing is that morning I had bought tickets to go see Brittany. She had, I was in California, living in California, and I was actually going it was too far for me to drive to go see her. So that morning I bought the tickets. That night I said I couldn't make it. It was just that emptiness was horrible. And I said, why am I here? Really, what was keeping me there? And I decided to move. So I still wanted to give her her identity by her being by herself. There's being in a different state, but I wanted to be close enough that I could, if I was having that feeling, I could just drive to her and just see her, get my hug, a few minutes, and then I get like my Britney dose. And so I decided it's time to build my wealth. I didn't have any retirement. And I said, this is it. This is the time for me to go build my wealth, give it 200 plus percent, and be able to do it. Jackson, Mississippi happened to be the area that I could get great returns on my investment and only be 3 hours away from her. Now, keep in mind, at this time I was working retail. I was doing some flips with, I was learning how to do flips, but I was driving 3 hours to work and 4 hours, sometimes 3 to 4 hours coming back because California traffic was so bad. So 3 hours to drive to her was nothing for me. So I said, okay, Jackson's it. I Prices are good, rents are high, returns are great, and 3 hours away. So, and just knowing it makes humongous difference. Just knowing that I could jump in the car and go see her, that feeling helped. It was so much better versus what you're talking about. You left your daughter in Virginia, knowing that you can't just get in the car, it just made it worse. So I set off to go to Jackson, Mississippi. In 2 weeks, I was on the road. I had bought a 24-foot enclosed trailer, and literally everything that could have happened to me on that trip happened. I got two flat tires, the trailer blowouts, and the trailer was too packed. We couldn't get a normal tow truck to lift it on the freeway, so we had to get a specialty semi tow truck to lift it. So, you know, I guess I don't know how to do things on a small scale. Everything had to be grand, including a blow up. So I have two, one in New Mexico and one in Texas. But I was still excited. I had a new purpose. I had a mission. I was going to go build my wealth. My goal was I was going to go buy 60 houses in the first 4 years. Then I was going to concentrate on paying those houses off. And that's it. I was going to retire. I had talked to an investor that was in Jackson, Mississippi, and she sounded great. She was going to owner finance me a home because, mind you, I'm on a very limited budget. She was going to finance me a home. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's so good. We're going to be friends. She's going to be my best friend. I have someone I know there. I was going to help her. I mean, everything seemed perfect. So I'm talking to her the whole ride to Mississippi up until the time I get to Action Jackson, Mississippi. I get to Mississippi and she disappears, does not return my calls, nowhere to be found. So, you start thinking, I think as women, we just kind of start imagining things. And at first it was, okay, her phone went dead. The next, she dropped her phone on the toilet. She didn't put rice on it. All these like ideas kept coming to my head. Next day, so I stayed at okay motel room. Next day, I quickly realized this lady's not calling me back. And now the two blowouts uh, really took away a lot of my funds. And I'm in a new town that I don't know. Mind you, also had a foreclosure on my record. I had a divorce. Well, not the divorce was not final at that time. A bankruptcy on my record, no job in a town that I don't know anyone. So literally everything was just not looking good in my favor. So I had to go. I'm thinking, okay, I have to start from scratch. I'm gonna go stay at the cheapest motel I can find. Oh my gosh. And you get what you paid for. It was
Yes.
beyond horrid. Bed bugs, all this horrible. So I chose not to sleep in this room. I slept in the car. And somehow, between being so completely excited, gung ho, I lost focus. I got into a pity me party. And I can't tell you when I lost it
Yeah.
until there was one night I was sleeping in the back of the car and there was a fight that broke out. So I look up and, I wanted to see what's going on. And then all of a sudden I hear gunshots. So, like, my life kind of flashed before me and I realized, what am I doing? What is it? I just couldn't comprehend. And my mental thought at that moment was just not good either. My thoughts were not positive, nothing was going good. The next morning, I wake up and I thought, hmm, I'm in the pity me party and nobody's in this party, just me in here. So I knew I had to do something to just get me back on track. And I went and I got a rescue dog, Mr. B, best dog ever. I got him that day and, still slept in the car because I'm limited on funds. Within 3 days, I found two people that were willing to owner finance me a house. And keep in mind, I'm now hitting the pavement, calling anyone that's willing to listen and being in front of anyone that was willing to listen, asking them, will you owner finance me a house? But by the way, I don't have any money. I don't have any credit. I don't have a job. Oh, and I have a foreclosure on my credit. Things were not good, but I was positive.
Mm-hmm.
Having now Mr. B, something I needed to, he already had enough bad life and he didn't choose that life. But I made a choice and I had to choose whether I wanted to continue to live in that car or go do something with myself. And I chose to go do something. So that's what I did. And it's been uphill since that day. I finally got into my first property. I didn't know anything about real estate. I mean, and anything about fixing properties. I mean, I'm a regular woman. I knew a hammer, I knew a screwdriver, but let's face it, if you want to hang that picture on that wall and you don't have a hammer, you're going to use your shoe. If your shoe works, you're going to use it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
that kind of woman. You do whatever it takes to get that picture on the wall. So we know we did it. But I had all these tools. I did had inherited tools from my stepdad. I've always had a fascination over tools, but I didn't even know what they were for. I brought them. They were in that trailer. So when I first got into the first house, it was completely outdated. Same 1950 carpet. The gentleman that owned it had accidents in that carpet, and Mr. B couldn't walk in that carpet. I mean, it was nasty. So first thing I did, took the carpet out. Mr. B will walk on concrete. It's a lot better. But I learned. I taught myself how to fix a house. Pinterest gave me cheap ideas how to do it because I'm on a very limited budget, and YouTube, as the contractors were out there showing how to change an outlet, change a toilet, they brought their tools. Now I know what my tools were for because I had those tools. I just didn't know what they were for. So it was like great learning things that I needed to learn to be in this business. I rather have gone different way, but I think they were all lessons that I had to learn. But it really has been nonstop since that day. And about 2.5 years after this, I got to the point. I got to the 60 houses and I said, okay, I'm ready to go and retired. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to do it. And I figured out I'm going to go help. I'm going to go help the Vickies that are still out there trying to find the people that are willing to help, the people that have the drive. So that was my mission, was to go and help 1 million Vickies.
Okay, Vicky, I'm stopping you right there because this is a really good place to stop for us to take a break, because everyone listening now, you have to remember, she just talked all about mindset. There was nothing she was handed. There was nothing different than any of us couldn't go out and do to hit the pavement, start making phone calls and start trying to find people. It's about mindset. So when we get back with Vicky in 2 minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about now what her mission is so that she can go help women that may be in that, or men that may be in that same situation. So stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right, great segment. All clear. Back in a couple.
Okay, thanks. I love that story, Vicky.
Thank
We're
you.
still on Facebook Live, so everyone's still listening. So this is a chance for Laura. I unmuted you. I had muted you for a minute there, but so you can talk too. So Mr. B, and I love what you said about your rescue dog. What kind of dog was he?
Chihuahua Poodle.
A Chihuahua
Chihuahua
Poodle.
Poodle. He's a cheapoo and the best ever. Best.
Yeah. Do you still have him?
I do. And
Yeah.
I have 4 more because now I keep rescuing and I foster and I'm a big foster Phil. So I have 5 now.
That's great. That's wonderful. And I love it that you that kind of the significance behind you getting the dog was twofold, I feel, and I could be wrong, but maybe you correct me here, is A, you wanted something to care for because that made you have purpose every day, right? Because
Yeah.
now you had something to take care of. But B, you didn't want to be alone anymore either. And it was
True.
a chance for you to have a companion.
It was. And I remember still sleeping in the back of the car because it wasn't something that I got to move in right away. And I hear noises or another fight broke out and I'm like, shh, Mr. B, shh. Mr. B wasn't doing anything. It was me that I was just afraid. But it was just that comfort. Have you ever been
Yeah.
in a house, you hear noises,
Yeah.
but if someone else is there, they're not even in the same room, you don't hear any noises anymore?
Yeah.
Kind of like this. It
My
was the same
husband can
thing.
relate to you on that. He's
Yeah.
scared of cat. So I used to travel a lot. And when I would come in, come home or come in the door after, he would have every light on in the entire house. And I'm like, why don't you just have a light on in the one room that you're in that you needed? He's like, this is a scary house. I have to turn all the lights on. I'm like, well, we're in a pretty good neighborhood. It's a pretty safe house. I don't know why you have to have every light on.
I love it.
It's what makes him feel good.
That's it. That's
It's
it.
what makes him feel good. So that's a really great story. Thank you for sharing that about the dog, because again, it just goes to show that between needing companionship and having a tribe and a community, and also your mindset, you can stay in that mindset, which is, I'm not worth anything, I failed, here's where my life's taken me, and I guess this is just what I'm supposed to end up being, is homeless. Versus, and it sounds like your car was more comfortable than the hotel.
Well, I had bed bugs.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
I wasn't going to go sleep there, but
Right.
yes. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was just not good. And how did I accept that? I mean, I was never brought up to go live in the back of a
10
car.
seconds.
Thanks.
So how did I think that was okay?
Mm-hmm.
How did my mind just switch? I don't know how. I don't know how it happened.
Because you had two choices. You had your bed and you had the hotel, and the hotel was crappy, and that's what you could afford. And your
Yeah.
car was better, right? Your car, your seat, and you laying on cars are pretty comfortable sleeping. I'm not going to say they're not.
You're
And no
listening to
bugs.
Lead
And there
Up
was
for
no
Women.
bugs.
Speak up to lead up. To reach the show today, please call
All right, Facebook, we're gonna come back to the live show.
346-9141.
You guys are getting all the behind the scenes today.
346-9141. You may also send an email to info@leadupforwomen.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I'm your host, Colleen Biggs, and if you've been listening, we have been talking with the amazing Vicky Schettini, and she was just sharing her story about how she had become homeless and chose to start sleeping in her car, and rescued a dog, and started hitting the pavement and making phone calls with no job, no credit, no money, and found an investor to help her, and how she learned from Pinterest, YouTube. So you don't have to have any skills. I think that's what we're saying here. You have to have zero skills. She didn't even know what any of the tools were that she had in her toolbox. She just watched and learned as people would come out and work on the home. She watched and learned what they did. Laura's shaking her head, so I'm assuming that Laura has done the same thing on fixing up her Airbnb. So Vicky, you said once you had gotten to your goal of 60 homes, you wanted to then turn and put your focus on how could you help others. You're thinking, there could probably be some other people that are going through what I went through, maybe not to the degree, but you're wanting to give them the financial freedom to be able to invest in real estate and help them down that path so that they have the help, the course, the whatever it is. Tell us how you now when you turned your focus, what are you doing now?
Exactly. And that was the main thing is, I mean, I really, when I started, I didn't have much going for me. Let's be honest. I named no credit, no money. No, by the way, by the time I got into that first house, I was down to $478 and the water company wanted 150 for deposit. The light wanted 200. Water company, I had to pay right away. Light company, I had to, they were willing to build me. So really the other stuff I had in my trailer, because I'm very patriotic. So I had a lot of armed forces patriotism collectibles that really I sold on eBay. eBay was paying for my food, my utilities, and my materials for this house. So I really got creative on how to survive and how to get ahead. So that's when I finally reached my goal and I didn't want to retire. And I said, there's other Vickies out there. There's other Vickies that are willing to do it. And that's what I always say. Do whatever it takes. Do it. And someone gave me a chance. I actually had two people that gave me the chance. You know, within 3 days, think I didn't have much going and they saw something in me that nobody else saw. I got hung up on, I got left. I mean, everything that you can imagine, it happened. And I want to be that person to someone else, or they might not be living in the back of their car, but they're struggling. You know, do they have $478? Do they have $1,000? Yes, they'll probably have that, but they don't have. When you go to these big events, you're looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and most people don't have that. So how are you going to get it? What are the resources that you have to learn and get and be creative? This is the part that I did really, really good at. Number one, I did great at networking, and networking is one of the key factors. So the three big things you need is mindset, the right mindset. You need to network, and you need to be creative. The rest is easy. You need to have the drive, obviously, but that's what I concentrate. So when I started, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go find the Vickies of the world and I'm going to help 1,000,000 of them. And I started, going and speaking at other people's events. One of the events, the very first one, the information that was being taught, it was a little bit outdated. And at first I thought, oh, maybe that worked back in the days, but not sure. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's because we're in a different state. It turned out he hadn't invested in like 10, 15 years. So that could have been why it was a little bit outdated. Second person, I go and I'm speaking and he starts saying, talking about passive income but the returns were so little and no, the formula he taught, it was really no padding. So I'm thinking, okay, why are you telling people that this return is good with no padding? Because the minute they have one work order, they're going to be in the negative for the year. So I start again. Here's Vicky snooping again. And I came to the realization that he didn't even own his own house. He didn't even have not a one rental. So he's out there teaching rentals and doesn't even
Doesn't
have
own
one.
any, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, oh my gosh, why am I here? Now people are going to think that I'm a fake just like him. And I decided to go and launch myself. I said, I'm not going to go and speak on behalf of anyone else because I don't know them. I don't know them and I don't want to give myself a bad name. So I want to teach people the truth. There's a lot of business out there. You don't need that formula. That formula is horrible and you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
And if the only deals you're finding is with that formula, then you need to just go to a different area. Do not, that's too risky for you. So that's what I'm doing is I'm out there teaching people how to do it, be creative, And I think that's where women were really good at is if your child, if you ever had a struggle in life and your child was going on a field trip and you didn't have the funds, or they got into sports and you didn't have the funds for the uniform, you got creative. You got
Mhm.
creative and you found the funds.
Yeah.
You moved mountains to make sure your child went on that field trip, to make sure your
Yeah.
child had that uniform. But for some reason, we don't do it for ourselves. And I think that's the
So
one thing we just think if this is my child, I would definitely be getting it.
yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Hmm. I love that message. Thank you so much. It's wit. Do whatever it takes, right?
That's right. Wit.
You are the example, the driving example of do whatever it takes. So talk to us a little bit about if someone wanted to bring you into their company for you to come and speak, or if you do you have workshops that you're putting on. Give us a little dose of how someone A can reach you, and B, are you regularly putting on events where somebody can come in and partake in that? How does that work for you? How are you getting your message out, teaching?
Yes. So I do go and speak at a lot of different events. If you are interested in having me come and speak, you can always contact me at info at Vicky Schettini, VickySchettini.com. I am having Deal in Hand event. This is where I teach. It's a workshop event.
Mhm.
None of my events, workshops, you are usually working. And my idea is when people go to events, they get brain overload. They go home,
Mhm.
they're excited, but they go home and they don't know where to start because
Right.
it's too much, right?
Yeah.
So at my events, you're going to be working because I
Mhm.
want you to do it at the event. That
Mhm.
way, when you go home, you already did it. You just have to duplicate.
Mhm.
So the deal in hand event is where I show you how I got deals. My
Mhm.
first 20 deals with real owner financing. I even show
Mhm.
you how I did it. So, and you're putting in offers. You're putting out offers so that the only thing you have to do is go home and duplicate what you just did at the event. That's it. That's
That's
all you have to do.
perfect. And they can reach you online at Vicky. So it's Vicky Schettini, SCHETTINI.com. Okay.
Yes.
So you can reach her online, or info at VickySchettini.com. And that information we'll put on Facebook as well. And then when are you speaking? Which room are you speaking at the Best You Expo in March? On the
You,
20th or the 21st?
I am speaking on the 20th at noon. I got an email about the 21st too, but I will put all the information below. It's the main, one of the main rooms,
Main
and I don't
main
have the
stage. Okay.
information. Yep. And I'll
Great.
put on the link also below because I will be in Atlanta at the end of this month for the Deal in Hand event. And anyone, I am also giving
Wonderful.
free ebook, 10 Mistakes in Real Estate. If you send Do Wit to 66866, and I'll put it down below.
Okay, so it's do wit
Wait.
to 86866. Is that
Oh,
correct?
I'm sorry, I did it backwards. 66866.
66866. Okay,
All one
so
word. Do wit.
text do wit, DOWIT, to 66866. Is that correct?
Yep, yep. And
Great.
I'll put it in below.
Well, Vicky and Laura, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing both of you at the Best You Expo, and Vicky meeting you for the first time in person and giving you a huge hug for sure. And your accomplishments are just amazing. You own, over 100 single family rentals now and 4 apartment complexes. So I want everyone to remember what she said, because the great lesson for today is if you have the mindset and the drive, you can move mountains. You just have to believe that you can. You have to believe that it's possible. And she could still be in that car today. She could still be sitting with Mr. B and not have built the empire she built. But her purpose was to learn from all that had happened to her on how she was going to pick herself up and move on and do what she did. And now she's out there teaching others so that they too can have the financial freedom. So Vicky, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything that you do for women and men out there. Laura, thank you for teaching people to listen to their inner selves, and for them to be able to tap into their greatest potential and their intuition. So thank you again. And you guys are definitely part of what Lead Up for Women stands for sure. And I want to thank you for that. And we also have events coming up. February is February 6th through the 9th is our first sanctuary event here in Arizona, in Scottsdale, Arizona. Anyone interested in that, I will put the information in the comment section. That is going to definitely be any woman who has a burning desire to live their life without asking permission. I'm about showing up. Stop asking permission for anyone else to grant it to you, because you have the permission to grant your own permission on how you live your life. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because it's none of your freaking business anyway, because it's all of their own insecurities. And that's just the way it works. So remember that you are the only you that's ever been, and you are the only you that will ever be. That's it. So how you pioneer your future is so important. Don't wait for somebody else. The world needs you at your best. So I say be you, be strong, and be different, because we're not meant to blend in. We are meant to stand out. And next week we have Jesse and Tessa with Ameti Luxury Luggage. They made the first women's luggage by women. I love it, because I've traveled forever and there's never good luggage out there for women. And we also have Tiffany Hall, and she created Empowered Cocktails for women. And she's also an attorney. I cannot wait to interview her. It's going to be an amazing, amazing day. So everyone have a blessed week, and we will see you next Wednesday on, what is that? The 22nd at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So for now, be you and be strong. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, great job, good show. All
Okay,
clear.
thank you. All right,
Yep.
let's say goodbye to Facebook. Thank you guys for joining us today, and everybody for being on. And ladies, I'm so blessed to have had you here today. Thank you so much. Your stories were amazing. Just the nuggets of wisdom that you gave to all of our listeners. I'm so grateful. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
Thank you
yes,
so much.
congratulations, Vicky. That's a triumph, just from taking on a few properties. I can't imagine taking on
Yes.
100. I have no idea, but I'm so inspired as well by both of you. And Colleen, phenomenal job. I look forward to staying in touch with Lead Up for Women and
Yeah.
keeping it growing.
Yeah, Lori, you're a
Love
member.
it.
So yeah, we want to take advantage of all the perks that you have. And Vicky, I want to learn more from you. And so I will be tapping into you more and texting you and finding out how I too, on the side, can build some of the wealth in a different portfolio of real estate, something my husband and I have talked about getting into for a long time. I don't know a lot about it. And so it's something I definitely want to tap into resources of people that do. So
Love it.
I'll be
Anytime,
tapping
give me a
into you.
call. And I believe I did sign up already to do some stuff.
Awesome.
So
Great.
we'll be in touch too, for
Yes,
sure.
I can't wait, Vicky. I'm so glad that you're a member. All right, ladies.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Great
Bye.
meeting you, Laura. Bye-bye.